So I didn't start out in teaching. I started out in international business. I had a French degree in journalism, and I was getting an MBA at night. And I was working in San Francisco at a French national bank called the Banque Nationale de Paris. And I'd been there, so I was 26 years old. I'd been there for about 5 years. And I got married to a naval officer in San Francisco. And then I knew we were going to be moving frequently. He was in the submarine force. And so we moved to Connecticut for 6 months, and there I tried out interior decorating, and then I started studying for the teaching exam. And then I decided to go the teaching route.
When and why did you decide to become a teacher?
Basically, I went into it because of my interest in languages. I needed something portable, and I knew we were going to have, hopefully, a family, so I needed something to work around their schedule as well. So it just kind of fit, everything fit together.
When you were a student, who was your favorite teacher, and what made them special?
My favorite teacher was Madame Zalewski. She was quite the character. And she just made the language come alive, and she made France sound like this wonderful, magical fairy tale place. And she was known for singing very loudly in class, La Vie en Rose and other Edith Piaf songs. And she also really encouraged me because I didn't think I could go to college. We didn't have the money for that. I was raised by a single mother. So I really kind of didn't even think about it. And then she just really encouraged me and fortunately helped me get some scholarships for college. So I wouldn't be here today without her.
Share your teaching experience. What grades or subjects did you teach? Where and how long?
So I started out in Charleston. We were, again, with the Navy. And I started substitute teaching just to see how that would go and taking classes at night. And then got pregnant and we got transferred to the Seattle area. Stayed home with my son for a year. Then we were transferred to Honolulu. Then went back to school when the kids, and then had my daughter. So it was like start and stop a lot. And so then in Honolulu, I did my student teaching and was also raising the kids. And then I had my first full-time job in Massachusetts, right outside Boston. And that was French, teaching French and Spanish. And we moved to Virginia, and I taught for 4 years in Williamsburg when my husband was stationed in Norfolk, Virginia. And then I moved here to teach at the University of Pittsburgh, and there I taught linguistics and English as a second language, and then was hired here.
Tell me about your favorite lesson, unit, or activity that you enjoy teaching every year.
So I love the culture. I still love the French culture. So I love teaching about the Revolution, the history of France from prehistoric times up to present day. We learn all about all the Louis and the French Revolution, and then also all the art and architecture. So I do a unit, I have always done a unit on French art with the Impressionist artists. And Matisse is a whole unit on Henri Matisse, and the kids do their own cutouts. So Impressionist art, and then more traditional art, like from the Louvre Art Museum, and the kids would do a virtual tour of the Louvre Museum. We have a virtual tour of the Palace of Versailles. So it's all the culture. And then that's like for the upper levels. For the lower levels, the food unit was always fun. The kids would make recipes, create different French dishes to share, and then the cafe skits, of course, and learning the regions of France and all the countries around the French-speaking world at that level, yeah. So it's still the culture. I still get excited just teaching that. It's great.
What is the funniest or most entertaining moment you remember from your years in the classroom?
One was in Virginia. When I was teaching in Williamsburg, I was showing a video, and the kids were being very chatty. So I said in a very irritated tone, I hear voices, and then one of the kids in the back said, in your head. So that always stuck with me. Then one not too long ago, one of the students said a couple years ago, what happens in French class stays in French class, right, madame? So I thought that was cute. Just the other day, one of the students said, we were doing a booklet, and he said, I identify as a winner. And I said, I think you should identify as the player, because he hadn't even logged in. He just wanted the prize. We were doing a service project at DMS this year, making Valentine's care packages for a nursing home. And one of the students wrote in her card, I hope you enjoy this Valentine's while you still can. And I had to explain to her why that wasn't appropriate. Yeah, that was good.
During your time as a teacher, what was one of your biggest change that you witnessed in your profession?
Well, I started teaching in the 90s, and then it was in Williamsburg when I remember we had this big meeting, the librarian led it, and about this big thing that was coming called the World Wide Web. That has been the biggest change, definitely the technology. It's revolutionized the field completely. From how we do our lesson planning, how we prepare our lessons, bringing the world into the classroom, the music, the art, film, everything. And we do everything, the grading, the lesson planning, it's all online, the communication with the parents as well.
How did you handle challenging or disruptive students in a way that turned their behavior around?
So the first thing I would say is if they're being disruptive and talkative, don't teach. Stop teaching until they're quiet. Don't try to teach over them. I've really learned that. We have spent hours and hours on these lessons. We deserve them to be quiet and listening to us. And it's also disrespectful and taking away education from the other students. So I just stop and wait. And sometimes you wait. You wait a few minutes. And then the other thing is if someone will not stop being disruptive, they need to be removed from the classroom. Either sent to a referral room, sent to the hallway, taken aside, just somehow excluded from the group. That's pretty much it, those two things.
You spent decades working with young people. What did you learn from your students that you worked with?
Well, I'm constantly learning from them. Also, I would say that all students want to be seen and heard and known for being who they are, just who they are. And they all deserve our respect as well. And so there was some brilliant students who really come up with super insightful things. So I would say I'm constantly learning from them as well. So it's a two-way street.
Share with me your classroom management strategies or tips.
Right. So a couple of things. Being a language teacher, I first of all believe that everyone can learn a language. We all learned English. Why can't we all learn French or Spanish? So that's the first thing. We just have to find a way to reach everyone. Some people learn better through listening, some through doing. So you just have to try to use all different modalities. And then the other thing is I really try to teach the students to be lifelong learners, that I think it's super important. And being so that it's a quality of life issue, that if you continue learning, you're always going to be enjoying life because you're growing. And so to me, that's really important to impart that to the students.
What are the most important qualities of a great educator?
First of all, being intelligent and knowledgeable about your subject area. Extremely organized because you have so many things you're juggling all at one time. So that's super important. Having enthusiasm for your subject area and also being kind, patient with the students. I would say those are the main qualities.
What was the most challenging part of being a teacher?
Believe it is managing your time. So it's one of those jobs that's never done. It's not like you leave the work at school when you leave. You're constantly still thinking about the kids, still thinking about your lessons at night. It's endless amount of work. So you could be creating lessons 24/7 if you wanted to. So you've got to at some point manage your life so you can still have a life. Yeah.
What advice would you offer to first-year teachers?
I would say, first of all, be very patient with yourself. It takes time. The first years are the toughest. And be open to trying new things and listening to other teachers who have more experience and administrators. It will get better. That's important.
That's good. What was the most rewarding part of being a teacher?
The most rewarding part is the relationships that you create with your students and staff. You do get really close seeing them every day, especially if you have them for 4 or 5 years. And then working with other people who are also passionate, like language professionals and other teachers, you do get really close. I really feel some of these teachers I've been working with for 20 years, so we're like family. We've gone through a lot together. I wouldn't know what I could do without those people.
What would you like to say to your former students who might be watching?
I would just like to thank them for so many years of laughter and fulfillment and joy in the classroom, and that I hope that they're able to find something they can be as passionate about as I have. and to explore the world. And remember, the world is yours to explore, and I have no doubt you'll leave your mark wherever you go. Like it's said in the poem Desiderata, you're a child of the universe, no less than the trees or the stars. You have a right to be here.
It's beautiful. Thank you.
You're welcome.